This is another episode of Standup Comedy, your host and MC, celebrating 40-plus years on the fringe of show business. Stories, interviews, and comedy sets from the famous and not so famous. Here's your host and MC, Scott Edwards.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special bonus show. I have something unique and different for you. I was doing some work on the East Coast and I came across this guy. He runs a company called Bang Productions. He is currently producing some comedy around the East Coast, and I wanted to learn a little bit more about him. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, John Edmonds Kozma.
Thank you.
John, so nice to have you on the show. You're back in South Carolina running your company, Bang Productions. Is that the vehicle, the medium that you're using to promote comedy?
It is Bang Productions. We've been around a while, and we actually had the name before all of the bad websites popped up. So we were the original Bang Productions.
Yeah, I didn't really think about it, but I'm assuming if somebody put into their Googler Bang Productions, they might end up with some naked bodies in front of them. But, you know, in your company, you're working with comedy. I know that you manage a very talented comic out of the South, Darrin Knight. He's out of Alabama. Goes by the kind of the showbiz name, the Southern Mama Comic. What are you and Darrin working on? What's Bang Productions got in the works?
Well, we kind of slowed things down a little bit with our live touring when we were talking about Darrin specifically during the pandemic. And this year is probably the first year we went kind of back to where we were at in the industry, and we have a national tour going on right now that just kicked off April 28th. And we've got some big venues. We're doing the Majestic in Dallas, Texas. We're doing the Strand in Shreveport, Louisiana. We're doing New Orleans. We're doing the Charleston, South Carolina Coliseum Performing Arts Center. We're doing Charleston, West Virginia. Their Performing Arts Center there. So
wow.
We've got about 20 big shows ranging from 1,000 to 2,500 seats.
That's amazing, John. Now, how did you kind of end up in comedy?
Well, I was in television and developing stuff independently. And in 2016, I was developing shows with a showrunner named Chris Case from Los Angeles. And I think now Chris is producing Bill Maher's current podcast. And I saw this talent, saw a video of Darrin. And at the time, a friend of mine just signed the Liberal Redneck, Trey Crowder. And I was like, somebody missed this guy. And I talked to a bunch of comedy managers and so forth in the industry. I said, hey, being in television, developing shows, and me and Chris just starting this business to develop shows and pitch to the networks, could I find a comedy manager to help us out here, and we'll do the media. And they said, he doesn't need a manager. He's got 5 years development, blah, 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 blah. I think I came home from LA after that week with Chris and flew to Alabama, and I said, screw it. We'll sign him. And we signed him June 24th of 2016 and went to work. And I think from the time we signed him to the end of that year, we did $600,000 in business.
Wow.
And we started with zero money.
Well, John, that's an amazing story. Now, that explains your website. It's www.bangproductionstv.com. That's bangproductionstv.com. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to check out John and his company, go to that website, Bang Productions Inc., and you can find them on the internet, and you can learn more about what John's doing and what he's bringing to stand-up comedy. But Darrin Knight, who's had some experience on stage, is doing this character. The tour is called the Southern Mama Comic. Tell me what caught your eye about Darrin. What made him stand out from all the comics you may have seen?
Yeah. Our current tour is Southern Mama and Friends Comedy Tour nationwide. I mean, when I saw him, when I dealt with, developing shows, I always knew there's a light switch effect certain people had. And all the great ones that could do good interviews and so forth always had that. You turn on the camera, you ask them one question, and they go. And I just thought his energy level and the way he was able to turn a thought so fast made him a great talent. And that's kind of been my specialty, is being able to find great talent, and lucky enough to find great talent. But yeah, I think it was just the way he's able to, turn a thought quickly and had his punches, and he, it was just a natural ability is what I saw.
Yeah, and it's great to point out for the audience that there are always, as been mentioned many times in this podcast, the two sides of show business, and that's the talent side. So Darrin comes in as the talent, somebody that can entertain a crowd that is worth paying to see. But behind the scenes, there's people like you and I. I've been producing comedy for over 40 years. You're more of a manager. You've taken Bang Productions and kind of picked up Darrin in his career and taken him to the next level by producing these big shows. Now, are you four-walling these shows, John, or are you getting booked straight across on contract?
Yeah, I'm doing. That's the thing, is like, there's a little misconception about my business, because I mean, if I do business, I try to control the narrative. So when we first started, I think we sold out 150 shows in a row, and I was doing business how I knew how to do business. I would rent the venues, I managed the act, I was developing the act, I would produce the shows, I would sell my own tickets, I would market the shows. So I think when we had 9 sold out shows, I brought the Zanies. When we first started, I sold my own tickets.
Yeah,
and it changed.
Yeah, you were four-walling shows. And just to make it clear to people, when you're four-walling a show, you're taking all the risk and responsibility of every aspect, from leasing the theater to setting the lights and sound to, selling the tickets, marketing it. But the trade-off is you have the benefit of being the receiver of 95% of the income off of that. And out of that, I'm assuming you have an agreement with Darrin, who comes in. Is he a partner or just an act that you book?
Yeah, I mean, when we first started, I just, I actually gave Darrin 20% of Bang, because I knew there were times when I did business in Hollywood and so forth, and I'd help people, and they would take off and run with ideas, and I never got compensated for anything. And I think when this happened and the fame happened for Darrin so fast, I knew that there would be a lot of value there for the company. So I just did the right thing, and I gave him 20% because I thought it was the right thing to do, because I didn't want, if we ever broke up or anything like that, I didn't want him to feel slighted in any way, because I've been in that position.
Well, that's very generous of you, John. I mean, not a lot of managers or producers would share a piece of the company, but that shows your commitment to Darrin and the Southern Mama tour and stuff, and everything you're doing. I think that's awesome. Now, you're also a podcaster. I think it's called Unimportant. Is that right, John?
The Unimpressed Podcast.
Unimpressed. I'm so sorry. They're not unimportant. They're very important, but they're unimpressed. Well, John, tell us how what your podcast is about, and how's that tie into Bang Productions?
Well, when I know you mentioned that we're a manager, but like I said, we're really a studio. We're kind of a studio model that was, say, in the 50s and 60s. So when Clint Eastwood signed with Paramount Pictures, they had everything in-house, from production, from distribution, to marketing, to PR. And we're kind of that model, and, in a virtual space. We basically are utilizing technology to operate like a studio would, in the 50s and 60s. That's really what we are. Some people, pigeonhole me as just a manager, but we're really a studio. So hence the Unimpressed Podcast. I reverse engineer everything. And I just thought I think people are tired of the buzzy type podcast. I mean, how much bullshit can you buzz to get emotions out of somebody to determine whether it's a good podcast or not. So with my podcast, I try to interview people from the foundation up and try to unearth who they are, walk them through their journey about life, and create micro moments about life that could be educational to whoever's listening. Like I had Dr. Ian Smith, who just released a new book on last week. And last night I had Dr. Stephen Greer. He's the leading UF guy in the country for the government. He talks to the administration, weekly about these things. So, just want to educate some people and teach them some stuff with the Unimpressed Podcast.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you get a chance, go check out John's podcast, Unimpressed. And John, I wasn't trying to pigeonhole you. I think that there is kind of a connection that, you are not only managing Darrin, but of course I didn't know that you also made him a partner. But the idea that you're doing a virtual studio is unique, and that's why I wasn't aware of it. I think that's an amazing concept. Congratulations on your success there. And again, to make it clear to the audience, what that means is John is really the whole package. He's bringing it together from A to Z to make sure that not only the entertainment value there's there, the production value is there, the marketing, and the financial rewards all through this virtual studio. And I think that's a genius idea, John. Congratulations.
Yeah, and to expand on that, we're a Meta media partner. We're one of 27 companies in the that that's a Meta media partner with Facebook. And also we've just been approached to be a liaison, to be the first major U.S. agency for TikTok for their live program. And this is based on the blueprint I created when I built Darrin. When I took Darrin to Just for Laughs in 2 years from the trailer with my model, because that had never been done before. I think he was a Variety's top 10 and headline Variety's top 10. Most people it takes 10 years to get to Just for Laughs. So that model is what I duplicated. That blueprint is what I duplicated and have improved over the past 7 years to get us where we're at today.
Well, that sounds like really smart work. And I wasn't aware of your social media connections. And if you're doing this studio model and managing your own marketing and on top of your promotions, getting that deep into the social media lines and working with Meta, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and now it sounds like TikTok, it really can give you a broader audience base. Have you found that that's been, I would assume, very beneficial in all these shows you're producing, because you can get the word straight out to the public, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people don't realize, being famous is eyeballs. And whether those eyeballs see you on a phone, they see you on a big screen, wherever it is, at the end of the day, it's the same thing. So the more eyeballs that you can convert with a great talent, is the goal. And I think it takes a great talent first to do what I do. But if I have a great talent that I'm working with, I know how to read the demographics and how to convert that to sales. Because I think I have the record with AEG Global for selling 5,000 tickets, and I think the venue spent $45.
That's incredible. That's amazing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to want to follow and check up on John. You can reach him through his website, www.bangproductionstv.com. Make sure you get that TV in there. It is Bang Productions Incorporated. He's all over social media. You can find him at linkedin.com. John Edmonds Kozma. If you get a chance, we should explain that your last name is Kozma, correct, John?
That is right.
So everybody, when you want to do a little research, you want to find one of his shows, you maybe want to talk to him about your talent, reach out to John Edmonds Kozma, Kozma, at all the various media outlets through social media, but he's on the Googler with his website and his production company, Bang Productions. John, what other things would you like to plug before we go today?
No, I'm really excited about the Unimpressed Podcast. I really think we can educate some people there. So if y'all want to, learn some stuff, come over to the Unimpressed Podcast and check us out.
Yeah, the Unimpressed Podcast starring John Edmonds Kozma. And what platform is that available on? Apple, Spotify, iHeart, all the usuals?
Yeah, all the usuals. I think we've got about 111 episodes in the can. I think we released 104 to date. So yes, that's me, John Edmonds Kozma's Unimpressed Podcast.
Oh, man, that is so great. Well, John, thanks for being on my show and sharing with my audience some of what you're doing. It is unique in that you're pulling together comedy with this studio format. You have your podcast, very successful, Bang Productions, ladies and gentlemen. John, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, and thanks for the talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, check out Unimpressed on your podcast network, and we'll be back this Sunday with another great show. Thanks, John, for joining us.
All right, thank you.
Oh, hey, everybody, check out Darrin Knight and this Southern Mama comedy tour. What's the exact name of the tour, John? Let's get a plug in.
Yeah, Southern Mama and Friends Comedy Tour.
Southern Mama and Friends Comedy Tour, coming to a theater near you. Check it out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Stand-Up Comedy, your host and MC. For information on the show, merchandise, and our sponsors, or to send comments to Scott, visit our website at www.standupyourhostandmc.com. Look for more episodes soon and enjoy the world of stand-up comedy. Visit a comedy showroom near you.